Hey YouTube land, this is Taekwondo doing another action figure review. Now just before I proceed, just need to say that for the purpose of the FTA or FCA was it, and the COPA rules, these video reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13 years old. And for today's review, I am reviewing the McFarlane Toys Doom Marauder. This is the second figure in the Doom line. Well, technically it's the second new figure in the Doom line. There is two versions of the Doom Slayer. So there's the original version of the Doom Slayer, and then there's like a gold kind of exclusive version. So it's essentially the same figure but with a repaint, whereas this is a new sculpted figure. So I count it as the second kind of new figure in the line. And before I get onto the figure, I'll just quickly give a look at the box. So here is the box in all its glory. So you have an image of, I think this is an image of the actual rendering from the video game, not the figure. It's kind of hard to tell whether it's the figure or it's the actual render from the game, but it just has the name, the Marauder. It Bethesda ID logos on the side. Then you have the name again on the side. McFarlane Toys up the top. Flipping around to the back of the box, you have what looks to be this is the actual figure, because you can see the joint in the arm. So this is an image of the actual figure, and then just the Doom logo up above it. No blurb or anything like that. You got all the legalese stuff at the base. You got another image, and I believe this is actually the figure as well, because you can see the connection or the ab crunch section. So I would imagine that this is also an image of the figure. And then you just have a window at the top of the box, and it's pretty much identical to that of the Doom Slayer box. If we're just bringing that in, you just have the image of Doom Slayer there, picture of the figure, again picture of the figure, and it's all the same stuff. I have already reviewed Doom Slayer, so I'll put a link in the description below to that video. But essentially it is the same style packaging. And then for accessories, this guy's fairly light on accessories. The one comes with two. Comes with a base with the Doom logo, which has a registered trademark on it. And then his only other accessory is this really cool axe. Now, I believe this is from the first Doom game, not Doom Eternal. I am currently playing Doom Eternal, and I don't remember coming across this guy yet. I've seen some statues of him, alright, in the game. So I haven't actually seen this guy in game per se, or in action. But you have this awesomely cool axe with this cool skull and horn motif thing going on. Pretty sure this is how the weapon looks in the game, except for this is probably glowing, something along those lines. And then for the figure himself, if I can just get him into shot, he is quite a cool looking figure. Let's see if I can bring his head sculpt in there. The head sculpt is quite nice. The eye glow is really nice on it. He has a ball jointed neck. His shoulder pads are on swivel, so they do kind of get in the way a small bit, but you can kind of move them out of the way just to get the range of movement. So his arms can go forward that much, it can go back that much, it can go up that much, but because of the shoulder pads, you can't really move them. They're actually on a ball joint, sorry. You can't move them in such a way that they completely obscure the movement, or they completely clear the movement. So if you wanted to do the arm 360, you can't do it on this side, and same with the opposite side. The shoulder pad on this side is also on the ball joint, so it does give a little bit of range of movement. You can put the arms up that much. There's a single jointed elbow with a ratchet joints, as you can hear, and it has a swivel. Same on the opposite side. The shoulders also have swivel or ratchet joints. You have that. You get a good over 90-degree bend on the arm for the right side. Little less for the left hand, I think, because of it's armored, and it has the other one is unarmored. You have dual waist joint. So you have one at the bottom of the waist here, and then you have another one just at the ab crunch, so you get a good range of movement on that. Legs can split out that much, hindered by the sculpt of the skirt piece, which is awesomely sculpted. It has a kind of metallic wash over it. It also has metallic wash over these skulls. I think these are probably supposed to be like some sort of grenade or something. I'm not too sure. He's fairly kitted out. Again, I haven't met him in game, but he looks pretty much like the statues I've seen. I think that's his name on, or he has some sort of lettering on the side of his shoulder pad. It looks like Lumina or something like that, maybe. Someone who's played the game may be able to give me a bit more description about him. I just got him because he looks really, really cool. As I said, I haven't fully finished the game, and I can't remember coming across him in the first game. I did play the first game, but I did it. I went so fast through it, I can't remember half the bad guys in it, and it's been quite a while since I played it. So continuing on for the articulation, just have peg holes for that base. The base only has one peg on it. He has rocker ankles on the feet, which, even though the boots are fairly heavily sculpted, you do still get some range of movement on it, so it's not too bad. It's not completely obstructed. You get a single jointed knee with a swivel just below the boot, and then you have a small swivel joint just at the hip. It's not a standard kind of swivel joint like you get with an NECA figure, but it does give you a small bit of range of movement, more so in than the opposite direction. And then, as I said, the skirt piece is a more rubbery piece, but you don't get too far. You can kick forward that much, but you can't really kick back at all. But overall, it's very nicely sculpted. His hands are on kind of ratchet joints as well, but they also have, it's like a ball joint, so you can swivel the wrist and then you can hinge the hand. So if you move the hinge in certain ways, you can actually hinge it in and out, or you can rotate it and then hinge it up and down. And it's the same on the opposite hand, so you can hinge up, hinge down. If you can get the hinge to rotate, you can hinge in and out, so you have that option with it, and it's not too noticeable joint, which is not too bad. Sometimes you, on figures like, especially with the older Raveltech figures, you notice the big joints where the hinges were. And for holding his weapon, he holds it nicely in both hands, but I prefer to put it into his left. I'm not sure if he uses it. Actually, it shows him holding it in the left hand on the box, and it would make more sense that he's holding it in the more armored hand. But you can get it into his hand, and it looks quite nice. You can get some really good poses with him. If I just pose him up there, bring him back a bit so you can see him, he does look really, really cool. And then for a size comparison, actually, before I do the size comparison, I will bring in the tape measure so you can see the height of this guy. Sorry about the wobbling on the camera. So to the tips of the horns, which is the highest point on the figure, he's 8 inches, but just to the head, he's about 7.5. So the scale for these guys is supposed to be the, kind of standard 7-inch scale. So because he's supposed to be a fairly tall character, he's a taller figure. So bringing in Mr. Doomslayer, you can see he does have a bit of a height over him. You see that I can get Doomslayer to stand up. So he does have a little bit of head height with the horns over Doomslayer. For another 7-inch scale figure comparison, I have one of the ape soldiers. Actually, let me just move the box out of the way a bit and move everybody back. So here's one of the ape soldiers from Planet of the Apes. Here is, what's his name again? Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction, from the Diamond Select line, which I really wish they would finish the Pulp Fiction line. At least give us a Vince Vega to go with the Jules figure. Again, another figure, human scale figure for the Pulp Fiction line is Butch. And those are pretty much some of the figures I have. And then just for one more scale comparison, I'll just try and grab them there without knocking everything over. You might hear a big clunk in a second. But here he is next to one of the, his plasma caster's fallen off, one of the NECA scale Predator figures. So you can see he's supposed to be quite a tall character. He's almost the same height as one of the Predators. So overall the scale is pretty nice. And he's quite a good figure. I do recommend picking him up. I really hope to do a Covenant figure. In fact, I hope to do more of the demon figures from the Doom game. There's some really crazy designs for the creatures, but so far they've only done the Doomslayer in kind of a gold armor, whereas this one is the standard one I picked up at GameStop. I think the other one was might have been a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. I'm not sure. I think it was an exclusive, at least a web store exclusive. I could be wrong, but this one is just a standard release, and I picked this guy up from Big Bad Toy Store. I'm not sure if he's still available at the time of this recording. If he is, I'll put a link to the website for him, and I'll put a link to my previous review for the Doomslayer as well. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review. It's a little quick one just to show the Marauder. He's fantastically sculpted. Generally speaking, sculpting wise for McFarlane toys, they've always been on par. They've always been pretty good. The only downside is when they were really kind of getting into their good sculpting phase, they started dropping the ball on their articulation phase, but thankfully that's not the case here, and hopefully they won't go repeat history and go back and start making sculptures, as in like statues that look really cool and have zero articulation. I don't have any examples at the moment nearby that I can show of what I mean, but if people out there who are familiar with the older McFarlane figures know that he sacrificed articulation for sculpt, where you'd have like a really cool sculpt and the figure was in a static pose, or you'd have swivel joints, so you could only swivel the arms in certain at certain places, and usually they were at really awkward angles. So if you wanted to get into cool action poses, you were pretty much screwed. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.